Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all devotees to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Temple for the Ram Navmi celebrations. We will shortly begin a class on Prabhu Shri Ramacandra. So I've got some slides up there which you'll hopefully all be able to see as well. Before we start, we'll do Mangala Charan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurul Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamallam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahajatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Shikatatam Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lita Shri Vishakavatam Shri He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranvami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patita Nam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Anantakoti Vaishnavinde Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, if I can humbly request everyone so we'll start the class on Ram Navmi. Now, before speaking about Prabhu Shri Ramacandra ji, a question that you may be asking is, hang on a second, we're in Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Temple. So why are we actually talking about Lord Ramacandra? Now, the fact of the matter is there is actually not much of a difference between Lord Ramacandra and Lord Krishna. As we know, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes? We know that? Agree? Well, Lord Ramacandra is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is also Purna Purushottam Bhagavan. So the question is there a difference in qualities? Because sometimes, we've heard in lectures, someone say, well, Lord Krishna has 64 qualities, but Lord Ramacandra has 60 qualities. Factually, that's not correct. It's not a correct statement to say that. Because Lord Ramacandra has all of the qualities that Lord Krishna has. However, for the role that he plays, for the Leela that he performs, he doesn't need to display all of the additional 4 qualities. Like he doesn't need to come and play, the flute, because that's not his role. He's Maryada Purushottam Ram. For example, Nrsingadev. Nrsingadev is also Purna Purushottam Bhagavan. But can you imagine, Nrsingadev, why did he come? Why did Nrsingadev appear? Why did Nrsingadev appear? Yeah, to deliver Hiranyakashipu. Now can you imagine, in one moment, Nrsingadev is ripping the guts out of Hiranyakashipu, and the next moment he is in Nidhivan, doing Ras Leela with the gopis. You'll be scratching your head. I mean, this isn't a Bollywood movie where one, moment the hero is bashing up the villain and the next moment, he's dancing with the Hurin in the Swiss Alps. It just doesn't work that way. Bhagwan's Leela is not like that. So Bhagwan Shri Ramacandra ji, or Nrsingadev for that matter, they're both Purna Purushottam Bhagwan, but they do not display all the qualities that, say, Bhagwan Krishna displayed when he appeared. Now, I will give you 2 analogies to explain this principle. So you have the moon. Yes? Now, on some days, say Amavasya night, a new moon night, you can hardly see it. Yes? Whereas, you fast forward 30 days later and you get Purnima. And you see, what do you see? The full moon. Now, say a child says, hang on a second. What I saw was completely different to what I'm seeing now at Purnima. So they're 2 separate things. But all of you sitting here know it's the same moon, is it not? What's the difference? Just different phases, different day. Is it not? But it's the same moon. Yes? Let me give you a second analogy to explain this principle. Say, for example, you have a Prabhu. Wakes up in the morning, puts on his suit, goes to office, he's there, carries out his roles very efficiently, very dutifully, very officially. That same Prabhu then, puts on a dhoti and kurta, tilak, comes to the temple, follows, all the decorum, all the Vaishnav etiquette, and is very chaste and proper and everything. And then, after coming to the temple, he goes home, takes off his dhoti kurta, whacks on some shorts and a t-shirt, and his son, jumps all over him. His friends come over, he starts eating his juta, he starts teasing his wife, starts playing around in a very loving, informal sort of a way. So my question, I have two questions for you. Firstly, is it the same person or is it a different person? Same person, isn't it? And second question is, say that person who dressed up in the office attire, now he could be a Shrutidhar, he could be a walking Veda base, know Bhagavatam, Gita, Ramayana, everything inside out. But he goes into the office where he's carrying out a particular role and he doesn't speak from the Shastras. My question to you is, does that mean that in the office he's not a Shrutidhar, he doesn't understand the Vedas or the Shastras? No. He knows it, but for the role that he's playing, he doesn't have to demonstrate it. But that does not mean he doesn't have it. He has it, but he doesn't choose to display it, which is perfectly fine as well. Similarly, Ram, Krishna, Vishnu, they are all the same person. And from a tattva point of view, from who they are as a personality of Godhead, it is the one and the same Lord. There is no difference. No difference whatsoever. Okay? Clear? As mud? No? Clear? Okay. That way, Bhagavan Vishnu, when he enters each and every jiva, not just this lifetime, but through every lifetime, he's there with us, guiding us, supporting us, encouraging us to go back to Godhead as Paramatma. He is Karunalaya Purushottam. That same Bhagavan, when he comes as Prabhu Shri Ramachandraji, he is Maryada Purushottam, because he's very chaste and he's very proper in his dealings with everyone. And that same Maryada Purushottam, then when he comes as Natkatkana, does all mischievous activities, eats the juta of other gopas, he plays around, does Vastaharan of the gopis, does Natkat activities, steals makhan, breaks pots. It's the same Bhagwan, but just doing a different leela. That's it. So it is the one and the same. The difference is only one, which is bhav. Which is bhav. Nothing else. It's just the bhav. Just like us, all of us sitting here. Yeah, we all have our moods, we have our own bhavs. There are some Matajis, who sit for 5-6 hours doing garlands. There are some devotees here who wash pots for 5-6 hours. There's no difference between that service or that service. There's some who wash the toilets for hours. There is no difference, is there? But everyone has their own moods and how they want to express that in the service of the Lord, isn't it? So it is bhav. Similarly, Bhagavan is the same. And depending on our mood, we get attracted to a different form of the Lord. Goswamiji says in Ramcharitmanas, Jinki rahi bhavana jaisi, Prabhu murati tinha dekhi taisi. Whatever the bhav is, that is what you see in the Lord. Yes? Clear? Now, let's go to a bit of a background about the Ram Avatar. In Das Avatava Stotra, there are 3 Rama incarnations mentioned. The first is Bhrigupati Ram. And that is referring to who? To who? Parshuram. Everyone knows Parshuram is one of the Das Avatars. The second is Yadupati. Who is Yadupati? Close. Balaram. Because he was born in Yadu dynasty. So he is Yadupati Balaram. So that's the second Balaram. And the third is Dashrath Nandan, which is Prabhu Shri Ramachandraji. So those are, and we are talking about the third of those, which is Dashrath Nandan Ram. Now, if we have a look, Dashrath Maharaj was Chakravarti Samrat. He actually ruled the whole planet. And he had all the wealth in the world. And, he ruled out of Ayodhya. Does everyone know what Ayodhya means? What does Ayodhya mean? Yes. Anyone like to help her? Ayodhya. If I said the word Yudh, would you know what Yudh means? Fight, battle, conflict. And when you put a in front of it, what does it mean? A place where there is no fight, no battle, no conflict. Ayodhya. And in Ayodhya, everything was peaceful. The Praja was extremely happy with the way that Raja Dashrath ruled. So the population was happy. He had all the wealth, and he had beautiful wives. Does anyone know how many wives he had? Yes. 3 wives. Beta, how many? 3. 3. Anyone else? Anyone got an answer different from? Yes. 1,000. Okay, we're going from 3 to 1,000, right? You must have had your hands full. 109. Infinite. Yes, actually, it is technically a correct answer, but anyhow, actually, Raja Dashrath had 700 wives, of which 3 were prominent. Now, for all the Prabhus, 1 is difficult. Try and imagine, managing 700, right? So he had 700 wives. But, despite having everything, all the wealth, wives, everything, happy Praja, he was not happy. Why? Yes?
Because he didn't have an heir to the throne.
He did not have a son. That's right. And so what did he do? He approached his guru, Vashishta Rishi, and Vashishta Rishi said, look, Prabhu, I'm not happy. Gurudev, what is your solution? And Vashishta Rishi said, you need to do a Putra Kameshti Yagya. Putra, what does Putra mean? Son, that's right. But what does Putra also mean? Pu is a type of hell. And Tra means to deliver from that hell. Putra, like for example, we do mantra. What does mantra mean? Man means mind and Tra means to tame, control. Right? So Putra. And the reason why Putra is important is even when we leave the body, the Putra does the Pinda, the Shrad and so forth, so that even in the afterlife, we avoid, he does all the, the samskars to avoid us from going to hell. That's why Putra is important. So he wanted a Putra. Now Vashishta Rishi said, you know what? As much as I'd like to, I can't do it. You need to find someone who is not only expert, Daksh in Yajurveda, but you actually need someone who actually hasn't ever accepted Dakshina in his whole life. That is the criteria to perform this yagya. So then he got Shringi Rishi to do it. And as a result of that yagya, Agni Dev himself appeared. And he gave Dashrath Maharaj payasam. And Dashrath Maharaj then segregated that into different parts. One half, and there's a, depending on Ramcharitamanas or Valmiki Ramayana, there's a bit of difference, but just work with the principle. He gave half of that payasam to Kaushalya. Yep. Then he had half left. He segregated that into half again. He gave 1/4 to Keikei. Then he had a quarter left. He segregated that again. He took those pots, gave 1/1 to Kaushalya and to Keikei in their hands, and then gave it on to Sumitra. So Sumitra got 2 parts. That is why, what happened? Kaushalya gave birth to Lord Ramacandra. Keikei gave birth to Bharata. And Sumitra had 2. So she gave birth to twins, which is Lakshman and Shatrughan. And because she felt so blessed that, the other 2 wives had, given her blessings in the payasam, So she said, from here on, my 2 sons will always serve your 2 sons. So when all 4 of them were born, what happened was, so they put it in pairs. They put Ramacandra with Shatrughan, and they put Bharat with Lakshman. And both Shatrughan and Lakshman started crying. And they tried everything to pacify the kids. Why are they crying? Why are they crying? They've been fed, the nappy is fine, they've had enough sleep, tick, tick, tick. So what's causing them to cry? And then the Guru said, why don't you swap? Put Lakshman with Ram and put Bharat with Shatrughan. And as soon as they did that, they were very peaceful and happy, because that is the natural pairing. Now, this avatar is also considered a very special avatar of Bhagwan, because he appeared in his quadruple expansion. As we all know, in the spiritual world, what do we have? We have Bhagwan Krishna. From Krishna comes Balaram. From Balaram, you have the Chaturvyuha. The Chaturvyuha is who? Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Yes, we've all heard that. Now, when Bhagwan Sri Ramachandraji came, Vasudev expanded as Lord Rama. Sankarshan expanded as Lakshman. Pradyumna expanded as Bharat. And Aniruddha expanded as Shatrughan. So that's why this is a very special incarnation of Bhagwan, because he came in his quadruple expansion. Now, the appearance of Prabhu Sri Ramachandraji is beautifully described in Ramcharitarmanas. I'll read it. If you, some of you may have heard it, and if you heard it, please follow along as well. Navmi tithi madhumas punita sukhal paksha abhijat hari pita madhya divas atishit naghama pavan kal lok vishrama. So when did Prabhu Sri Ramachandraji appear? He appeared on Navmi Tithi, on the 9th day. Today is the 9th day? Yes? It was Budhwar or Wednesday. Today is Wednesday as well. But that's when he actually appeared. Now, Navmi Tithi is also called as Maryada Tithi, because 9, everyone's done multiplications at school? Yes? Okay, kids. What's 9 times 2? 18. 1 plus 8 is? 9. Isn't it? Yeah. 9 times 3 is? 27. 2 plus 7 is? 9. 9 times 4 is? 36. 3 plus 6 is? 9. Pick another number. 9 times 8 is? 72. 7 plus 2 is? 9. Irrespective of what you do, whatever numbers you do, it is always going to be 9. And that is Prabhu Sri Ramachandraji. That's his charitra. Whatever is at the start will be at the end. Now, in contrast, when was Lord Krishna born? What day? What tithi? Ashtami. And I won't do it now, but if you go home, do the tables of 8, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes up, and that is like our Kanaji. He's very nutcut. That is reflective. But no is Prabhu Sri Ramachandraji, because it's very clear from the start to the end. Then it was Shukla Paksha. What does Shukla Paksha mean? Yeah, so basically there's 2 parts of the moon. There's the waning moon or the waxing moon. Waning means increasing. Waxing is decreasing. So he was in the waning moon, because he was saying the moon is increasing, so he wanted to spread his mercy as well. So Lord Rama appeared in Shukla Paksha. And he came at Abhijat Muhurat. Now, Abhijat Muhurat, Abhijat means winner. And it's basically the midpoint between sunrise and sunset. Okay? Sunrise and sun. And that varies, day by day. But on average, what you can say is that is around the middle of the day. Generally 24 minutes before noon to 24 minutes after. Okay, so that's Abhijat Muhurat. Generally speaking, if you're trying to do something auspicious and you can't find a good day or time, you do it in Abhijat Muhurat. In the 8th canto, another incarnation of Bhagwan is Vamandev. Everyone knows the pastime, Vamandev?
Yes.
Vamandev also appeared in Abhijat Muhurat. Yes?
I heard in the class once that Sri Ram appeared in when the sun was at its highest.
Next point. Very good, but next point. Varahadev. Varahadev appeared, yes, to kill Hiranyaksh, and he also killed Hiranyaksh and Abhijat Muhurat. Mahabharat, when Kunti Maharani called Yamraj. Yeah, remember she got the boon from who? From? Which Rishi? Durvasa Rishi, yes. So she got the boon that she could call on any Devi Devta, and so she called Dharmaraj, and when Yudhishthira Maharaj appeared, that was the blessing or the boon given. That was also during Abhijat Muhurat. And Ramayana as well, when Prabhu Sri Ramacandra comes back from the battle after killing Ravan, he gets coronated also during Abhijat Muhurat. Then to your point, Rachit, Bhagwan appeared at 12 noon, Madhya Divas. So when the sun passes the meridian, what does it mean by when the sun passes the meridian? It's the highest point in the sky. Right? So that's when Bhagwan Shri... And whereas Bhagwan Krishna, when did he appear? 12 night. You know, it was dark night and...
And he was born when it was raining and raining is an auspicious sign. So even the singles now, every single generation is raining.
Absolutely. So Bhagwan Shri Krishna appeared on Janmashtami, but in 12 midnight, right? Because, his activities are a little bit like that as well, whereas Prabhu Sri Ramachandraji, right, Ujjwal Charitra, very clear. So he appeared bang 12 noon in the middle of the day. Now, you see the photo there of Dashrath Maharaj. Does anyone know how old Dashrath Maharaj was when he had his children? Any guesses? 1,000 years. Any other guesses? Any guesses? Anyone? How old was Dashrath Maharaj when he had his 4 children? 52,000.
I don't know the age, but I think he was pretty old because he has white hair.
Yeah, he has white hair. That's very observant. Extremely sharp. Yes, last guess. 100, very close. Dashrath Maharaj was 60,000 years old. He was 60. But put it in context, right? In Treta Yuga, people used to live for 100,000 years. So, in that sense, it wasn't too far out of the ordinary. Okay? So, when Prabhu Sri Ramachandraji appeared, we talked about Navmi Tithi, then Chaitra Mas. Now, Chaitra Mas is generally in April. Anyone been in India in April? Very cold, isn't it? No, it's boiling. It's like an absolute furnace, is it not? But when Prabhu Sri Ramachandra appeared, Surya Dev withdrew all the heat and he made the conditions very pleasant. It was neither hot nor cold. It was beautiful. There was a gentle breeze. From, all the atrocities that Ravan had been committing, the rivers had dried up. But as soon as they felt that Ramchandra was appearing, they started overflowing. The trees that had stopped giving fruits and the flowers that had stopped blossoming, all of a sudden, they started giving fruits and flowers in abundance. In abundance. Asuras, they didn't know why, but they started getting fearful. For them, the signs were actually ominous. All the Devi Devatas, Brahma, Shiva, and all the 33 crore Devatas, they started glorifying Astuti Kariye Nagamuni Deva. And they were showering flowers. So this is just, there's a lot more in this in terms of the conditions. I've just summarized what it was when the Lord appeared. Now my next question. This is describing appearance of Lord Ramacandra. When did Sita Mata appear? Any guesses?
I don't know when, but I know how she.
Yes, we all know the story, yes. Anyone know when? Roughly, any guesses?
Like what day? What
Yeah, roughly.
maybe like Ashtray?
Ashtami. So Bhagwan appeared on, Bhagwan Krishna appeared on what? Janamashtami. And Radha Rani appeared on? Radha Ashtami. Prabhu Shri Ramachandraji appeared on Ram Navmi. So when do you think Sita Mata would appear? Sita Navmi. Sita Navmi. So exactly a month later, Sita Mata appeared. And we all know the story as to how she appeared. And in between Ram Navmi and Sita Navmi is the appearance day of a wonderful devotee of the Lord, someone that kids, elders, everyone just loves. And that is Hanumanji Maharaj. And Hanumanji appeared on Shukla Purnima. So in about roughly 6 days, we have Purnima. So that is when Hanumanji appeared. And on that wonderful day, we should, chant the name of Lord Ramachandra, read Ramayana, Bhagavatam, Gita, and pray to Hanumanji that, the love and devotion that he has in his heart, that he blesses us to similarly have that seed of devotion in our hearts as well. So, that is Hanuman Jayanti. Now, when Prabhu Shri Ramachandraji appeared, Kaushalya Mata sang a very beautiful stuti, beautiful prayers. Again, I can't go into all of it, right? If you get a chance, please do read. But we'll just read the first 4 lines. Again, you may have heard this. If you have, please follow along. Bhaya prakat kripala deen dayala Kaushalya hitkari Harshit mahatari muni manhari Adbhuta rupa bechari Lochan abhirama Tanu ghan shama Nij ayudhya bhujachari Bhushan vanmala Nayana vishala Shobha sindhukari. Beautiful prayers. If you get a chance, do read. First line. Bhai prakata kripala deen dayala. The merciful kripala Lord who is compassionate to the fallen is deen dayala. And he is the hitakari, the ever well-wisher of Kaushalya Mata. He appeared. Now, Acharyas have, for each one of those lines, they're given one classes each. So in the time that I have, I can't do justice. But if you just take one word, Dina Dayala. When Prabhu Shri Ramachandraji was banished to the forest, who did he befriend in the forest? Did he befriend rich kings? No. Who were his friends? Generally, the fallen people, lower caste. Who did he meet? Nishad Raj or Guya. He was from Nishad Jati, a very lower caste. Yes? Vanars, not even human. And yet he embraced his friendship with Sugriv. He embraced Hanumanji Maharaj. He went to get blessings from Shabri. Kevat, Nishad Raj. Yeah. Shabri from what kul? Shabra kul, a very lower caste as well. He went to get blessings from her. Dina Dayala, he gives his association to the fallen. And before you go too far, we're also in that category as well. Second line. Bichari, meditating on his Adbhut Rupa. What happened? 2 effects. The first, Kaushalya Mataji was filled with joy. Harshit Mahatari. And then what's the other thing that happens? Mani man hari. Jo muni hote hain, jo sadhus and sants, what does he do? He steals their heart. Just by his adbhut rupa. Tanu Ghanashama. His body is what? Ghanasham. What does Ghanasham mean? The monsoonal clouds. Tanu Ghanashama. Which is just seeing that is very delightful to the eyes. Lochan Abhirama. And in his bhuja, he had 4 arms. What does he carry in his 4 arms? Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma. So he appeared in his Vishnu form. And Bhushan Vanamala. It is said that Yashoda Maya, what she used to do? She used to dress up Krishna with all sorts of jewels and ornaments and so forth. And as soon as he left the house, he was out of sight of Yashoda Maya. You know what he used to do? Take it all off. And what he used to wear? Vanmala. Krishna, Lord, likes Vanmala. And his Nayan is eyes. His eyes are big and beautiful. And he's Shobha Sindhu. He's an ocean of beauty. And he obviously killed the demon Khar. Everyone knows Khar and Dushan, brothers of Ravan, that he killed. Something for Papa and Mama to tell you later. It's a long story. Okay, so that is about Lord Ramachandra's appearance. In a conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati Mata, Lord Shiva describes the 5 reasons for why Lord Ramachandra appeared. 5 main reasons. The first is in this verse. Jab jab hoye dharam ki hani. Very simple. Jab jab hoye dharam ki hani. It means dharam is declining. Badaya asura adham abhimani. When there is an increase in demons, asuras. Does it sound familiar? 4.9. Yajala hi dharmasya. Glanir bhavati bharata. Yeah. But this verse identifies one of the most important reasons why he came was to protect 4 types of devotees. The first is Vipra. What's Vipra? Sadhu, Brahmins. Vipra. Second, Dhenu. What's Dhenu? Cow. Everyone knows Kamdhenu. Third, Sura. Devatas. Correct. And Dharani. Dharani is who? Dharan karti hai. Dharti Mata. That's right. So, protecting those 4 types of devotees. And the last line, Harahi Kripaniti Sajjana Pira. What does he do? Harahi. He takes away. He removes the pira, the distresses of his dear devotees. That's why. First reason why Lord appeared. Second reason. Does anyone know who they are? 4 Kumaras, yes. And who else? Jai or Vijay. Everyone knows the story. 4 Kumaras went to Vaikuntha, wanted to see Lord Vishnu. Jai Vijay stopped them and they got cursed. Right? So the second reason is Dwarpal Hari ke Priyado. Hari ke, Lord Hari ke do Dwarpal, gatekeepers. Jai or Vijay Jan Sabko. Everyone knows they are who? Jai and Vijay. Vipra Shrap te dono bhai. Vipra, the 4 Kumaras, gave him a shrap, a curse to both the brothers. Tamas asura dena tinahapai. So what will you get? You will get a tamas, a tamasic, asuric body. Yeah? Clear? So there's a big huge pastime, but basically they give them 2 options. You can either take births, 5 births as devotees, 3 as asuras, and what did they choose? Asuras. And what did they appear as? Children? First birth? Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. Yes, everyone knows? And who killed Hiranyakashipu? Hiranyaksh was killed by Varadev. Okay, then next, what was there in their form? Ravan and Kumbhakaran. And that was, who killed them? And then the third was who? Shishupal and everyone forgets this. Dantavakra. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. And who killed Shishupal and Dantavakra? Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Okay? So,
I think after that, they were very fortunate. They came back as Sri Prabhupada mentioned, came back as Jagai and Madai.
Yes.
In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
That's right. So, absolutely, Prabhu. These wonderful devotees continuously play pastimes in the Lord's Leela. The third was the curse of Vrinda. Everyone knows the story of Vrinda?
Yeah.
Yes? So in summary, basically there was an Asura called Jalandhar, and he was creating a lot of havoc. The Devatas went to Lord and said, Lord, this Asura is causing a lot of problems, and Lord said, why can't you kill him? You're so powerful. He said, well, we can, but the problem is his wife, Vrinda, is very chaste, and all his strength comes from her chastity. So Lord said, fine, and you have to cut the story short. Lord took the avatar of Jalandhar, and then he mated with Vrinda. As a result, she lost her chastity, and Jalandhar got killed by Lord Shiva with his Trishul. And when he got killed, Vrinda's there with the Lord in the roop of Jalandhar, and she sees the head of Jalandhar rolling. And she's like, hang on a second, my husband's head's here and he's here, how is this possible? She asked the question to the Lord, and the Lord doesn't say anything. So she said, okay, well, if you don't say anything, then I curse you to become a stone, a Shaligram Shila. Anyhow, Lakshmi Mata comes, and Lakshmi Mata says, well, how dare you curse my husband? So I'm going to curse you, so you become a plant. So then the Lord, obviously very pleased with her devotion, says, look, I mated with you, under false pretext, but every year, we'll get married properly, and that's why we celebrate in India. What do we celebrate? Tulsi Shaligram Vivah. And that happens when? Yes, in Bhisham Panchak. Bhisham Panchak.
So when Mommy was in Vrindavan, so there was this procession in one devotee's house, and they literally did like a grand wedding with the actual buyers coming to the devotee's house with Shaligram and all.
I've participated in a wedding like that in Sydney. So it's not only in Vrindavan, someone does it here as well. So it's a wonderful celebration. So anyhow, so basically Vrinda cursed, saying that, look, I got separated from my husband by your deceit because you changed your form. So similarly, you will also suffer separation from your beloved because of deceit. And isn't that what happened? What did Ravan do? He took Sita Mata away by deceit. And so the Lord accepted that curse, and in that kalpa, Jalandhar became Ravan, and Lord defeated him in battle and gave him position at his lotus feet. So that is the third reason. Yes.
Jen and Vijay were born as Ravan and Kunda.
Different kalpa bhed. Different slight variations happen in different kalpas. So in this kalpa, Jalandhar became Ravan. But good thinking. At least somebody is listening and not just zoned out. Good. See, the kids are thinking, the adults are like, yeah, whatever. Next. What's the next reason? So the next reason is the boon that Bhagwan gave to Swambhuva Manu and Shatrupa. So they did very severe austerities. Initially, they ate only fruits and vegetables. Then for 6,000 years, they survived only on water. Then for 7,000 years only on air. And then for 10,000 years no air, just standing on one leg. Yes, so that's when the Lord got pleased and said, okay, what boon would you like? And they said, we want to be, we want a son like you. And so the Lord said, well, there's no one like me, so I guess I have to be your son 3 times. And so they became parents of the Lord 3 times. What are the 3 times? The first one is, who are the parents? And Kashyap. So you don't say the second one. Second one.
Krishna.
That's the third and Devati.
The answer is in the translation. Dashrath and Kaushalya. And the third is Vasudeva and Devaki. See, kids know a lot. We need to learn from our children. What's that expression in English? The child is the father of the man, isn't it? So we have a lot to learn from them. But they're very fortunate, they've been in Krishna consciousness from a young age. So they're very pious souls, very elevated souls. Then, fifth reason, the curse of Narada. Now this is a very long story. Last time I covered this a few years ago on Ram Navmi, it took about 20-25 minutes. But I'll do it, if you get a chance to read it. It's a very funny and very instructive story as well. So, it's in summary, basically Narad went to the forest and he was meditating, and Indra got insecure. And Indra said, okay, look, he's probably going to try and usurp my position. So then he sent Kamadev. Kamadev went with Ramba, Samba, Urvashi, you name it, and tried to break his meditation. And he didn't work. Tried everything. And then Narad thought, look, I've got victory over Kamadev. So then he went to Brahmaloka and he said, Father, I've got victory over Kamadev. Brahma said, that's nice, but just keep it to yourself. But when you get something, a little bit of pride comes in, right? So then he went to Mahesh Loka or Shiv Loka, and he said, dear brother, guess what? I know you've defeated Kamdev, but when you defeated Kamdev, you opened your third eye and you burnt him to ashes. I didn't even get angry and I still defeated him. And Lord Shiva said, that's very nice, but keep it to yourself. And then Narad thought, I know what Lord Shiva is up to. He doesn't want people to find out that I've also defeated Kamdev as well. That's why he's telling me not to say anything. So he goes to Vaikuntha and said, Lord, have you checked your WhatsApp? I've defeated Kamdev. Bhagavan said, very nice. And Bhagavan could sense there is a gandha of pride. So on his way back, Bhagavan created a wonderful place and did a swamvar. And Narad Muni was crossing, he saw it, he said, let me check this out, what is this? He went down, had a look, there was a Raja there saying, thank you Narad Muni, such an elevated soul coming. Here's my daughter, Vishwa Sundari. So this concept of Miss Universe isn't just a recent phenomenon, it happened back then as well. Vishwa Sundari Swamvar. And as soon as Narad Muni saw her, he said, okay, and the king, Shilanidhi, said, can you please bless my daughter? And Narad Muni said, forget blessing her. I would be blessed if I got married to her. So, but then he said, look at me, I'm a brahmachari, no hair, who's going to marry me? So then he gets his latest iPhone out and he calls Bhagavan in Vaikuntha, Prabhu, I've done so much bhakti, never asked you for anything, just one request, I look around, you're in Vaikuntha, you got Lakshmi Mata, Bhole Baba, Lord Shiva has Parvati Mata, Brahmaji has Saraswati, I'm the only, brahmachari left. I also want, a wife and little Naradas and, little Vishwasundaris as well. Bhagavan said, Narad, don't worry. I will do what is in your hita, whatever is best for you. Narad thought, deal done. So he goes to the swamvar, he sits right at the front, first row, he's sitting there. And Vishwasundari comes and she has the Jayamala and she has one look at him and just, she shirks because the Lord has given him what? The face of a monkey. And as soon as she shirks from him, besides Narada are two Rudragana, the associates of Lord Shiva, and they start laughing at him. Like seriously. You think with that look you're going to have a chance with Vishwasundari? Narada got angry. And they said, have you had a look at yourself, in the mirror? So he had a look and he saw that, he's had the face of a monkey. So he got more angry. Then what did he do? He had a look at the row of all the people sitting. Right at the end was Bhagavan Vishnu himself. And then he sees Vishwasundari putting the Jayamala, the mala on Lord Vishnu. And he got even more angry. And anyhow, so Bhagavan Vishnu and Vishwasundari, sat on Garuda. And they started going and Narad is on his Luna trying to, catch up. And, finally he catches up. And if you read Ramcharitamanas beautifully, he calls Lord all sorts of names. He said, you are Kutila, you are Kapti. When Samudra Manthan happened, all the good things came, like Lakshmi Mata came and Kaustav Mani came, and you grabbed that. But as soon as Vish came, the Kalakuta Vish, you said, no, take it to Lord Shiva. I don't eat makhan and dahi and doodh. The Vish you give to Lord Shiva. See, this is your real nature. I didn't say this, by the way. This is what Narada is saying. But finally, he says, look, I'm going to give you 2 curses. Firstly, Kapi akriti tum hakini hamari. What have you given? Kapi akriti. You've given me a kapi, a monkey face. Right? So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to take their help. Karhe kisi sahay tumhari. Unki sahayata leni. You have to take their help. So that's the first curse. And didn't Lord Ramacandra have to do that? To get back Sita Mata? Yes? The second curse. He says, Nari bira tum hobe dukhari. Just like I have been separated from my Vishwa Sundari, you will also be separated. Now, you can tell this curse was given by a brahmachari. Because he says, Nari bira, yani Nari bina, like without a Nari. Now, if he had actually been a grasta and actually been married, he wouldn't have given that curse. He would have said, Nari ke sang tum hoge dukhari. No, only joking. But the point is that those are the 2 curses that he gives. Now, the Lord could have easily counteracted those curses, but the Lord accepted. And he removed the veil of Maya, and Narada fell to the feet of the Lord and said, Lord, I don't know what overcame me to say these words to you, to curse you that way. And Bhagavan said, Narad, don't worry. It was my will. Mama ichha kah deen dayata. So this was all the grand plan of Bhagavan himself. Because he wanted to take avatar as Ramacandra. So these are the 5 reasons that Lord Shiva says in Ramcharitamanas. But the main reason why Prabhu came as Sri Ramachandraji is actually not in Ramayana. It is actually given by Hanumanji Maharaj in the 5th canto, 19th chapter, 5th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the very first line itself, where Hanumanji says that Lord Ramachandra appeared, why? Martya avtaras tva iha martya shikshanam. Bhagavan took martya avatar. He took avatar in Mrityulok. Why? Martya shikshanam. To give us shiksha. To teach us. Because he came as Maryada Purushottam Ram. To give us shiksha. Now, we say to attain Krishna Bhakti, we have to be in Shuddha Sattva. But before you get to that platform, first, you have to come to the human platform. Do you not? There was a story where a devotee went up to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I've given up meat, no intoxication, no gambling, no relationship with the opposite gender, right? So I've become a pure devotee. And Prabhupada said, you've now just become a human. And that is a sad state of affairs. You don't have to tell a lion how to be a lion. You don't have to tell a cow how to be a cow. But the Lord had to take avatar to teach all of us how to be a insan, how to be a manusha, how to be a human. This is how merciful the Lord is. He was in Vaikuntha. He's got crores Lakshmi sitting at his feet serving him. He's Atmaram. He's self-satisfied. He had no reason to come here. But he came here. Why? For us. He went for 14 years. He stayed in the forest, slept on the ground, ate wild berries, roots, whatever he could find. Why? For us. To give us shiksha. So that is why it is extremely important that we take the lessons, and this is what I'll spend the rest of the class about, is what are the key lessons that we can take out from Ramayana. Now, the Lord didn't teach us through massive discourses. When Bhagavan came as Krishna, what happened? He spoke Bhagavad Gita, didn't he? How many verses?
18,000.
How many verses, Gita Prabhu?
16,000.
Then he also spoke Uddhav Gita in Bhagavatam, yes? So Bhagavan Krishna gave a lot of Updesh. But Prabhu Shri Ramachandraji didn't give Updesh. He spoke Ram Gita, a small part of Ramayana, but his main teachings were by his acharan, by his character. He practically taught us in two main areas. One, how to follow one's dharma even in the most difficult circumstances. He showed how to be chaste to your word. He gave his word that he would spend 14 years in the forest. When he met Nishadraj, Goya said, "Why don't you come to my house?" And Lord said, "No. Your house is in the city and I have committed to stay in the forest." No one was going to know. Who was going to know that he went to stay in someone's house? It is the forest technically, but it's a city. But Lord is true to his word. And it's a lesson for all of us. We come in front of Radha Gopinath, in front of our Guru, and we take a vow. We will, chant 16 rounds, we will follow the 4 regulative principles. Lord teaches us we must stay true to our vows. Very, very important. Don't relax. Chastity is extremely important. And Ramayana teaches us role models. Both extremes. Teaches you how to be a good father, good son, good wife, good everything. And also gives you examples at the other end of the spectrum. And there are plenty of it, which we will see. The first shiksha, first lessons that we get from Ramayana is how to accept reversals in life. Rest assured, reversals will happen. But Bhagavan, Krishna tells time and time again in Bhagavad Gita that what should we be? We should be sam. We should be equipoised. He tells in 12.4, Sarvatra samabuddhaya. Sarvatra, in all situations, all circumstances, what should be? Equipoise. Then he says in 2.8, Siddhi asiddhayo samabhutva. Siddhi means in success, happiness. Asiddhi means in unhappiness or lack of success. What should we be? Sam. Should be equipoise. Third, sitoshna sukha dukkada. So whether it's hot or it's cold, one extreme to the other, we should be like a pendulum. And that's what we're often are. We go from happiness to distress. Isn't it? Something good happens that we like, we're happy. Someone praises us. Mataji, Prabhuji, you are such a wonderful devotee. Mataji, you're wearing such a wonderful sari. Now he's very, very happy. And then all of a sudden somebody doesn't praise us. What happens? The pendulum goes all the other way. And remember one important principle. The harder you swing one way, what happens? The harder it goes the other way. Whereas if you're in the center, if you're sam, in sukha dukkha, happiness and distress, in man and apman, it won't affect you, will it not? And that is what Prabhu Shri Ramacandra teaches us practically with his acharan. One moment, he's been coronated as the king of this universe. One moment. And the next moment, what happens? He is banished to the forest for 14 years. What was his reaction? His internal reaction is beautifully described by Goswami Tulsidas Ji. Would somebody like to read the translation?
There is the splendor of Sri Rama's lotus at first, which never, neither grew, larger at the prospect of his being installed on the throne of our Lord, nor was it dim by the painful experience as its all indicates. Even Egypt brings to electricity.
So when he was pronounced king, his face didn't lit up. He wasn't like, fantastic, now I'm the king. He was some. And when he was banished to the forest, did he go, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? No. Practically he teaches us the principle. Now, that was his internal reaction. What about externally? There were those who actually felt sad. Why is the Lord going to the forest? Why has he been banished for 14 years? So what did the Lord do? He started counseling them. Now he's the one who's going to go to the forest. And yet he's the one doing the counseling. How? Lord, focus on the positives. What did he say? Rather than ruling something small like Ayodhya. Ayodhya is very small. What does he say? Pitta dina mohikana no raja. Pitta, my father, what has he given me? Kanan Raja. He's made me king of the forest. And what happens there? Jaha sab bhati mor bharkaju, where I'll get great opportunities in every way. What opportunities in the forest? He says in the next verse, he says, Munigana milam. I'll get a chance to what? Associate with saints and sages. And that's why in the last part of the first line, that is hitamora. That is in my best interest. Look at the positivity of the Lord. Even in that situation, he's looking at the glass that is not half empty. He's looking at the glass that is half full. But our nature is what? The complete vipreet. Somebody says Hare Krishna to us 99 times. But one time, for whatever reason, they don't say Hare Krishna. We're like, why didn't that person do Hare Krishna to me? What's his problem? Must have ego. Negative nature, negative mindset. Whereas Ramacandra is teaching us by his acharan, always look on the positive side. Look at Lakshman's reaction. Now, after Lord and Sita Mata and Lakshman went and met Guya, they told Guya all about, how he'd been banished. And Guya was very saddened about, what happened. He said, look, we must take revenge. We must do something about this. And what does Lakshman say? Beautiful line. He says, Kahuna koi sukh dukh kar data. Lakshman says, Kahuna, no one is the data, the giver of sukha or dukha. Very important principle. We often, somebody, does something bad to us, we blame them. That person did bad to me. Remember this important principle. No one is the data, no one is the giver of sukha or dukha. Why does it happen? Last line. Nijkrit karma bhog sabu bhrata. Oh bhrata, oh brother. We are bhog. We are receiving what? The fruits, the phal of our own karma. So we shouldn't blame anyone if something bad happens. It is our own doing. Our own doing. So that was Lakshman's reaction. Kaushalya's reaction. When she heard that Prabhu Ramacandra was going to get coronated the next morning, she didn't go to, shopping to find the best sari, or she didn't book an appointment at the beauty parlor, get the best possible package, 5 hours or whatever they spend to do hair, makeup, everything. No. What did she do? She fasted the whole night and she prayed. That was her reaction when she found out that Ram was getting coronated. And you know what she did when she found out that he was going to get banished to the forest? She did exactly the same, with even more intensity. She prayed even further. And to understand, to help us, Mahavishnu Goswami gives these very important instructions. Please try and remember it if you can. In happy moments, praise Krishna. Lord, I didn't deserve this. It is because of your mercy, your blessings, that this good thing has happened to me. In difficult moments, seek Krishna. Lord, I'm in this situation. I myself am not strong enough to handle the situation. But it's like, we are small and the problems may be big. But if you put something even bigger in between you and the problem doesn't look that big anymore, does it? So, in difficult moments, we should seek Krishna. In quiet moments, in moments of solitude, we should worship Krishna. When you're at home, in the morning, Brahmura time, that is when we should worship the Lord. In painful moments, trust Krishna. Everyone has painful moments. Everyone has difficulty in their life. But remember two very important principles that will help you. Two very, very important principles. Firstly, there is no better planner in this world than the Lord. No better planner. If you look at the intricacies of our body, if you look at how the earth is positioned relative to the sun and everything is so beautifully planned. There is no better planner than the Lord. So if something is happening to us that is planned by the Lord, there must be a reason behind it. First thing. And second principle is that as our eternal Father, the Lord would never want anything bad to happen to us. Those that are fathers, ask yourself, will you ever want anything bad to happen to your children? Never. But if something happens, then it's for a reason. It's for a reason. So remember these two important principles. And as soon as you do that, it'll help you overcome those painful moments. And then the last thing, every moment, thank Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. For whatever good is happening to me, whatever bad is happening to me, it is because of your mercy. And you are there with me to help me every step of the way. We must thank Krishna, be grateful. Excellent shiksha that we can get from Ramayana. Another lesson that we can get is the art of parenting. Now, KK, when Bharat came back, and Lord had actually already gone to the forest and Dasharatha Maharaj had left his body, KK boasted, Bharat, the coast is clear. Ram has been exiled to the forest and you can become king. She boasted. And what was Bharat's reaction? He renounced his mother. She said, you go to hell for renouncing your mother. He said, I am prepared to go to hell for 1,000 lives than to call you mother. This was Bharat's reaction. Why? Why did he do that? Because a mother's duty, a mother's dharma is to unite her child with the Lord, not push the Lord away like KK did. Now compare what she did, what KK did, to what Sumitra did. Now, what happened? When Ram, he was the only one who got banished to the forest, yeah? But Lakshman said, wherever Ram is, I'm going as well to serve him. Right? So he insisted, Lord, I'm coming with you. Ram Bhagwan said, before you do that, go and speak to your mother, get her permission. So Lakshman went to Sumitra. And what did Sumitra say? Sumitra said, Lakshman, you do not need my permission. Why? Because from here on, Ram is your father and Sita is your mother. And wherever Ram and Sita are, that is Ayodhya for you. This is what a mother should be doing. And she says beautifully, the words are a little bit harsh, but Putravati Jupati Jagasoi Raghupati Bhakti Jasusutta Hoi. What does she say? Beautifully says, a woman can be only be called Putravati when her son is a devotee of Lord Ramacandra. Otherwise, second line, second word, what does it say? Banj. Means if she cannot make her son a devotee of the Lord, it is better that she doesn't have a child, because he'll just be a burden on the earth. Look at harsh, strong words by a mother. But a mother saying this, not a sadhu or a son, a mother saying this. This is the responsibility of a mother. Sumitra then says beautifully, look at the values that she imparts. First line, she says, Tumhare bhag ram ban jahi, dusra hetu tat kachunai. What does she say? Tumhare bhagya hai. It is your supreme good fortune. What is? Ram ban jahi. Because you can then go and serve him. And then he says, Dusra hetu kat. There is no other reason. It is only because of your good fortune that he is going. And then she says, Sakal sukritikar bhar phala ehu. Out of all the sukriti, all the pious deeds, all the good things that you've done, what is the best phal? What is the best fruits of that? Last line. Ram siya pad sahaj sanehu. The fruits of all the sukriti that we do, all the piety that we do, is one thing only. That is to have sneh, spontaneous love, ragunada bhakti, for the lotus feet of Sita and Ram. This is what a mother is saying to her child. And this is what we should be saying to our children as well. These are the samskars that we should be cultivating in our children. People often work really long hours. Why they say, I want to send my kid to a private school, or, leave them, a big money in inheritance and so forth. Now, I'm not saying anything against private schools or living inheritances, but we must understand that artha should not come at the expense of giving our children time and instilling the right values in them. Because remember, if you don't give them the right values, say for example, I don't spend time with my children. I just work, and when I leave them $1 million, and I don't teach them what is right, what is wrong. And they go and they spend that money on the wrong things, gambling, drinking, whatever. Guess what happens? They won't do it, they're good children. Gopinath blessing. But I'm just saying, if they do that, you know what happens? I will get the karmic reaction. Because I have facilitated their ugra karma. Point number 1. Be very careful. Money is not what you should be leaving your children. It is samskars and values. And remember, Chanakya Pandit says in Niti Shastra, there's certain things that are fixed. Child's education is fixed. If you go to a decent astrologer, you take the Janam Patre, he will say he'll study for 18 years, 21 years, whatever it is. Education is fixed. Wealth is fixed. Whatever is in our bhagya, you will get that to the cent. Not $1 more, not $1 less, guaranteed. It is fixed. But what is not fixed is bhakti, bhajan, sadhana. And that is where samskars are so important. I heard many years ago that education is a father's responsibility. And there are 2 types of education. Remember this important principle. There are 2 types of education. One that teaches you how to make a living. And the other is how to live. How to make a living. They go to school, they go to uni, they'll figure out how to make a living. But the second one you will not get in any college. That is what parents teach us. That is samskar. And that is our responsibility to give to our children. And Ramacandra, he carried out the words of his father without any personal consideration. He did not care that he had to go to the forest, live in really difficult conditions. Why? Because he wanted to carry out his father's instruction. Lord Shiva says in the 8th canto, what is param aradhana? What is the highest form of worship? Tapayanti lok tapena. When we undertake voluntarily sufferings, why? to relieve the sufferings of others. That is the highest form of worship. That is why all of these sadhu sons, they travel all around the world. I mean, why would anyone come to Australia? I mean, what is there in Australia? I mean, apart from nice weather and corona-free. There isn't any holy places here, is there? But we get so many sannyasis coming here. Time zones, they'll come in for a couple of days, give us their association, give us some gyan, and then fly out. It ruins their whole sleeping patterns. They don't know who's going to make the prasad for them here. Someone could make it really spicy. Someone could, have it, put no salt in it. They undertake all of those austerities, all of that tapasya. Why? To relieve the distress of us. To give us hope, to give us their association. That is why Param Aradhana is tapayanti lok tapena. Undertaking austerities to relieve the dukh, the suffering of others. And Ramacandra knew Dasharatha Maharaj was torn. He didn't want his son, to go to the forest because it wasn't going to be easy. But look at Ramachandraji's words when he says to KK, said, Suno janani soy sut barabhagi, jo pitu matu vachan anuragi. Beautiful. Suno, please hear Janani, O mother. Soy sut, that son is barabhagi. He is extremely fortunate. Jo, second line. Pitu matu vachan anuragi. Who is devoted to the words of his parents. Who follows the principles, the values of his parents. And then the last two lines. Toshinahara, who gives pleasure? Such a child who follows the words of his son. Durlabh janani sakala samsara. In this whole samsara, it is durlabh, very difficult to find such a son who follows the instructions of his parents. Beautiful instructions. And remember one thing. Our parents have done so much for us. For 9 months, our mother carries us in her womb. When we're young, we're dependent. She doesn't sleep properly. She doesn't eat properly. She wakes up when we wake up. They look after each and every one of our needs. Care for us, even at their own personal expense. And they don't ask for much. Parents just ask for us to love them and respect them. Just follow their principles. That's all they ask. Nothing major. They don't want our wealth. They've got enough. They just ask for these things. And when we do that, what do they give us? They give us blessings. And remember one thing. The blessings of parents will take you to places that no amount of wealth will take you. No amount of wealth. Shastrik Praman. Shantanu and Bhishma. Shantanu was a Raja, he was king. But he wasn't a particularly renowned soul. He didn't have Ichha Mrityu, did he? He didn't have Ichha Mrityu. He couldn't decide when he wanted to leave. But because Bhishma sacrificed his own happiness, he said, I will be a brahmachari, I will not become king, just so that you can marry. He sacrificed. What did Shantanu do? He blessed him with Ichha Mrityu. This is the blessings of parents. So children, every morning when you wake up, make sure you seek blessings of all the elders in the household. They will come in very handy. Remember, they're the ones that will take you places. And you compare modern children. Don't listen to parents. It's so sad. Children leave parents, on the side of the road. You hear horror stories. They'll take them out in the countryside. Parents, have lost their memory, and they just leave them there. But remember, in this world, what goes around, comes around. Jaisi karni, vaisi bharni. So we should always, when we love and respect our parents, what's going to happen? What are our children going to do? They will respect us. They will respect us. I'll tell you a nice story to explain this principle. There was a businessman. He had a family. His son and his grandson used to live with him. He had a big business and then he retired. He said, look, now I'll give my business to my son and he will look after it. And soon, he just sat in the house, and because he wasn't of much use, all the respect that he had, just got lost. The son didn't care, the daughter-in-law didn't care, right? And he was struggling a lot. So one winter came and he said to his son, he said, Beta, it's very cold and I'm very old. Can you give me something to keep me warm? And the son said to the grandson, he said, Beta, see that curtain over there? Go give that to your grandfather. So the child went, took the curtain and gave it to the grandfather. The grandfather looked at it and said, you've only given me half. This is not enough to cover me properly. He said to his son, he's only given me half of the curtain. So the father scolded. He said, why have you given your granddad only half the curtain? You know what the son said? I've saved the other half for you. Jaisi karni, vaisi bharni. How we deal with our parents, our children will deal with us. Practically what Ramayana teaches us. Practically what it teaches us. Ramayana also gives us wonderful shiksha in terms of Grihastha ashram. Now, Ram said to Sita, look, forest is no place for someone like you. You've been brought up, as a princess. And the forest is a very harsh place. You're not going to survive. Right? So, and I've been banished, not you. You stay here. And she said something very beautiful. She said, you are following the instructions of your father. And when I left Mithila, my father said, in Sukh Dukh, always be by your husband. So you're following your father's instructions, I'm following my father's instructions. This is Nari Dharma. And Sukh and Dukh, being with your partner through thick and through thin. And she teaches a wife's dharma. We have marital vows. Now, what do we say in marital vows? That your happiness is my happiness and your sadness is my sadness, isn't it? Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, it's the viparit, the complete opposite. Husband's happiness is wife's distress. And husband's distress is wife's happiness. But no, we must share each other's happiness and our sorrows. And Anasuya beautifully instructs Sita. She says, wonderful expression, the strength of 4 things is tested in bad times. Apadakal. See, धीरज धर्म मित्र और नारी अपाद काल परखे चारी. ये 4 चीजें परखी जाती हैं. You test them in apad kal. What are those 4 things? Firstly, dheeraj. Dheeraj is what? Patience, fortitude. Because when everything's hunky-dory, we're all patient, are we not? But when the times are tough, that's when our fortitude is put to the test. Dharma. When everything is fine, we can follow our dharma very nicely. When difficulties arise, how true are we to our duties and our responsibilities? Mitrata, friendship. When you got a lot of wealth and you're in a good position, you got heaps of friends. But through difficult times, that's when you know who your true friends are. And last is Nari. Is she there shoulder to shoulder with you through thick and through thin? And you compare current day, just marriage of convenience. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. As soon as one stops scratching, tata bye bye, see you. This is not what Ramayana teaches us. This is not the shiksha that it gives us. And this is my last slide. Ramayana gives us wonderful shiksha as to how to view this world, this prakriti. In Shikshashtakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu beautifully says, this world is like Mahadavagni, it's like a blazing forest fire. And mantra gives this beautiful analogy. Would somebody like to read the translation? Anyone?
forest of the family of lotuses. But in the absence of water, it burned them to ashes.
The sun fosters the family of lotus, but in the absence of water, it burns them to ashes. So the sun provides, what does it do? It provides the lotus with sustenance through photosynthesis, isn't it? But if the water is removed, then that thing that gave it portion, that will burn it to ashes. Similarly, in this world, we may think this Prakriti, this material world, is providing us with everything. But remember one thing, without the Lord's protection, this material world will cause all miseries. I'll give you an analogy, example to explain this principle. You may be sunbathing, right, in the beach. And what does the sun give you? It gives you vitamin D, does it not? And it gives you other nutrients, mainly vitamin D, right? But if you don't apply sunscreen, what happens? That same sun will burn you. Will it not? Same sun that gave you nutrients will burn you. So what is in between you and getting sunburned is sunscreen. Is it not? And for us, that sunscreen is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. बोल सियावल रामचंद्र लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी की जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जगन्नाथ बल्लभ सुभद्रा माई की गौरंग निताय जी की निताय गौर भक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि रामनवमी महामहोत्सव की जय. Thank you everyone, thank you Prabhuji, and now it's time for Aarti. So thank you so much for your time. Hare Krishna.